Weewaawo nange kankozesa omukisa guno okwaniriza abakatuuka ttiimu y'abantu 12 weewaawo Katonda nsaba ffenna atuweeramu omukisa ababuuzaako era baaniriza emukadde Tumusima Ernest okuva ewanyange. Ekyawandikibwa kyaffe kye tugenda kuba nga tulaba kiri kuva mu kitabo kya Matayo essula 10 olunyiriri olwa 39. Matthew chapter 10 verse 39. Omutwe gw'ekyokuyiga gugamba nti that is prioritizing God. Prioritizing God. Agamba bw'ati, alaba obulamu bwe alibubuza, abuza obulamu bwe lwange alibulaba. Kyekyokuyiga kyaffe ekyolunaku lwaleero, abantu okususuwaza oba okukulembeza Katonda. Abooluganda, njagala kubategeeza nti ng'abavubuka Katonda waliwo ebintu byatusuubiramu bingi naddala mu mulimu gwe, ate bingi ddala. Lwaki? Olwa qualities 2 ze tulina. Esooka 1, ng'abavubuka tulina amaanyi. Namba 2, tulina amagezi ate n'okutegeera. Tulina categories 3 z'abantu: abaana, abavubuka, okwegamba nti n'abakuze mu myaka. Naye naawe njagala ogifumitiriza olabe eddala ddala Katonda yandisuubidde kinene mu baana okusinga abavubuka. Ate ab'emyaka obuli 4, 5, 6, 7 kinapaka ku 10 yandibasuubiddemu kinene mu mulimu gwe ogusinga abavubuka. Kwe kugamba nti ng'abavubuka Katonda waliwo ekintu ekyenjawulo. Kwe kugamba nti waliwo amagoba amangi nga tukola gatusuubiramu. Era njagala kutegeeza nti ng'abavubuka tuteeka okufumiriza ku kintu ekyo ate tukole ekyo Katonda kyayagala tusobole kuba nga tukola ki? Dutuuka ku buwanguzi. Abavubuka ze mpagi ez'ekkanisa. Mu Bayibuli tulina ebyokulabirako bingi. Singa otunuulidde abantu bonna Katonda be yayita myaka gyaffe, kwe kugamba nti amuyita nga muvubuka, n'afuna experience ate n'akula ebyamaanyi n'agenda mu maaso paka mu bukadde, naye ng'amuyita nga muki? Nga muvubuka. Tulina ebyokulabirako bingi. Tulinga David yali mwana muto, Katonda yamusuubira mu bingi ate n'akola ki? N'asobola okuba nga atuukiriza ebyo Katonda bye yayagala. Tulina Joseph oba Yusufu, Katonda yamuyita nga muvubuka, yamusuubira mu bingi ate n'abituukiriza. Tulina Jacob, abantu bangi, ne Yesu kennyini, n'ebyokulabirako bingi by'abaweereza Katonda be yayita. Kwema nti abayitira mu myaka gyaffe. Amakulu nti emyaka gyaffe Katonda waliwo ekintu kyatusuubiramu olw'amaanyi n'obumanyi bwe tubeera nabyo. Kwema nti atusuubira mu kukozesa ebitone byaffe okumugulumiza ate n'okutuukiriza ki? Ekigendererwa ekyayagala. Bambi newankubadde Katonda dusuubiramu ebintu bingi, waliwo ekimukwasa ennaku. Kubanga ojja kwesanga ng'ebyokulabako gye tugenda okulaba nti waliwo bingi kugamba nti ebitulemeredde okutuukiriza oba okugamba nti okukola ebyo Katonda byatusuubiramu, ne tumaliriza nti twerowoozezaako nnyo ng'olunyirino nga bwe lutugambye ogusinga okulowooza ku mulimu gwe n'ogukola ki? N'okutuukiriza. Kwema nti Katonda byatusuubiramu tetubikoze, wabula twerowoozezaako ogusinga ne tumaliriza tetutuukiriza ekyo kyayagala, wabula nga twerowoozaako okukulaakulanya sometimes oba okwefaako n'okukulaakulanya obulamu bwaffe bwaki? Obw'omu nsi, okulwanira ebiseera ebisinga okubeera obulungi. Njagala nkuwa ekyokulabirako. tulina abavubuka nga bavunanyizibwa mu kanisa. Amazima gali nti mu baana wadde si yayigiriza naye yalungamya okuba nga groups z'abaana zonna ziyiga ku makya mu Sabbath school. Gutandikira ku beginner paka ku cornerstone. Era olweggulo omuvubuka ono nga clubs zonna zimukwatako kuva ku Adventure Pathfinder n'ambassador kugamba nti ye-influencing nyo akola kinene nnyo newankubadde alina abamuyambako naye bw'ayogera oba structure gy'abeera nayo oba enzimba alina ogutegeera kwe n'amagezi kwegamba nti akola kinene nnyo okuwanirira abavubuka bano. Si kyo kyokka nibwe kubeera okusinza kwegamba nti alina ebitongole ebirala byalina muki gyalina mu kanisa. Kakati wulira obuzibu obutuukawo. Tulina abavubuka bangi nga twerowoozezaako nnyo ogusinga bwe twandifiisiza ebyo bye twagala okusobola okutuukiriza ekyo Katonda kyadusuubiramu. Tulina abavubuka bangi neno mu nsoga obuli no mu kanisa yo bangi b'omanyi bakulonda n'omala emyezi 5 emyezi 6 omwaka tegunaggwawo ne camp meeting tenaggwawo obuli awo olina akalimo k'okola baka business ofunako obusente obuli awo naye ng'oweereza bulungi mu kyaki. Then mukwano gwo gwe wasoma naye n'akuwa offer Kampala oba mu bitundu ebirala nti owaaye Brian obadde okimanyi nti waliwo akalimo ate okusinziira ku byenfuna byo byewangamba gakubisamu emirundi 2 okusinziira ku nfuna gy'obadde okoza ki gy'obadde ofuna. Kati n'ogifumitiriza ate jjukira ebitongole byonna gwe bizimbiddeko naawe okimanyi bulungi wooviirawo biri kujja kufaanana let me say like ng'amalaalo agatalongoosebwa. Lwaki ngamba ekyo kubanga bifa abaana babadde bayigira mu bibiina byonna nga biwera bulungi ku makya mu Sabbath school ne batandika kuyigira mu kibiina kimu kubanga wavuddewo abaana babadde babeera organized afternoon olw'okuba nga obeerawo ne batandika okuzanya kubanga clubs tuzisuubira mu afternoon kubanga abaana balikola ki bali kuyiga bali kuyiga classes zaabwe. Kakati gwe n'osalawo mu mwezi ogwokutaano n'otambula n'ova olwa mulimu kakati awo wendi amakulu g'olunyiriri. Yesu atugambye Olwa 39 araba obulamu bwe alibubuza abuza obulamu bwe ku bwange alibulaba. Kwe kugamba nti ofumitiriza ku bintu by'omu kaseera bya kaakati n'oyuwa obwesigagana ne Katonda n'omuvaamu n'ovaawo n'ogenda. Olwaki? Olw'okubanga oyagala okulaakulana, olw'okubanga si kibi kituufu. Ne Yesu atugambye nti waliwo ebintu bye tuteeka ogusaddaaka nti tuteeka ogusoko okweganyisa then tulyoke tufune obulamu okuyita mu ye. Bwatyo bw'atugambye nga bwe ngambye nti ensonga eyo gyeri si kunzenzeka wabula n'okubavubuka abala kubanga nze mu nkanisa gyendimu tulina abavubuka abaali bagase nnyo ebitundu 9 bonna baavaawo ne bagenda naye ne bwogoberera we baagenda for sure tebakola ki tebaweereza olw'okubanga emirimu egyo gye baafuna gyagenda ne gibabikako. So Yesu kyali kugamba nti buli kwe tulowooza ku ebyo ebyokwekulaakulanya kulowooza ku ebyo ebikussa obuli awo kangambe nti embuto zaffe ne tusuulirira omulimu gwe n'obuvunaanyizibwa bw'atuwa agamba nti tetumusaanira ate tujja kugenda kola ki tujja kumaliriza nga tufiiribwa obulamu kola ki obulamu obutagwawo. Njala okutegeeza nti ku lunyiri luno omuntu alina obusobozi bw'okutuukiriza ebiri mu lunyiri luno nga yeeganyisizza wabula nga asosowaza abasooka Katonda mu byakola byonna amazima gali nti omuntu oyo aba yatuukirira. Naye in case singa imbeera eno eba ekutuuseeko nga tosobodde okuba nga osooka Katonda then gwe ne weerowoozako oluvannyuma kiyitibwa ogusinza ebifaananyi. Lwaki? Gusinza ebifaananyi teeka lyokubiri kitegeeza okusosowaza ekintu kyonna ogusinga Katonda. Kwe guteeka kwegamba nti ke kalulu ak'ebintu bibiri. Akalulu kali katya nti obuweereza bwe bwanga butuuseewo kaseera ka buweereza bwa Katonda n'akaseera k'ebintu byo olondawo otya kuma nti gw'olondawo ebibyo kitegeeza kusinza biki ebifaananyi lw'ensonga eyo. Ku nsonga eno ali abagamba nti biseera bisinga it is okay nze mbeera busy naye katonda nja kumuwa 50% nange nsigazeko 50%. ekyo kifu. bwe tube nga tuweereza katonda tuteeka okukola ekyo bitatotosalenda manti 100% oli committed mukola ki mukola omulimu gwa katonda. How ekyakyo bwe banga erina program mu weeks 2 za suppose that programs 4 mu weeks 2 mulimu effort gukyalira abantu mu kwiga mu midweek n'ebirala, then we nogamba nti nja kukwata ennaku 2 nzikozesa ebyange then 2 nziwe katonda. kakati simanyi ddala bw'obanga oteese ku munzaani oba katonda oyo guweereza n'akola atya abanga ajja kusanyusibwa n'embeera eyo gy'oyagala kumuyisa okumupimira. kwatako 50 nange nsigaze 50. ekyo nakyo tekikola kitya tekigwaguma nti bwe tuba nga tukola omulimu gwa katonda nga bavubuka tuteeka okwewaayo okwanama ddala. katonda wakunoonyereza wakufunira kubanga bwe buvunaanyizibwa bwe yakuwa bwe buvunaanyizibwa bwe yampa kyekiragiro kye tulina mu mission statement yaffe ng'ekanisa y'Abadiventi okufuula abantu abayigirizibwa ba Mukama waffe kyokka. ebirala tugamba tubyongerwako bwongezi nti buli gwosooka ekyo kijja kubanga kikubeera ekyomutawaana mu biseera ebyo. Kangwe ekyokulabira ku biseera ebisinga duteera okufuna obuzibu obulala fumitiriza ku ngeri gye tuyisamu katonda. enkuba yatonye ku makya wanawaka ndi ku maini wano ebugembe, naye abantu aba bulijjo bwe bakeera ku mirimu saawa emu baba bali kulinnya boda ne taxi okugenda mu tawuni mu bitundu ebirala kukola ki okukola. babeera n'obuwambulera just kyakula ku lunaku olwo ng'enkuba etonya tatuula ku boda atuula mu taxi olw'okwewala enkuba naye saawa zatuukirako zibeera ntuufu. neefumitirizaako n'omukyakiyo obwana gwe kennyini gwampuliriza. enkuba bw'etonya ekyamazima kiri nti kyaki ekisobola n'okutuuka saawa 5 ng'abantu abalimu batono nnyo nga tebawera. kirowoozeeko. kakati kijja kitya weebuuze okubanga bw'abanga muntu oba gufuna ebyenfuna bya wano ku nsi. ekyamazima kiri nti tufaayo nnyo tetwagala n'okuwoza naye bwe bituuka ku bya katonda wabeerawo okuwoza. ne bw'omubuuza kugamba nti obadde olaba nga enkuba tetonye naye ku mulimu bye takola atya tabibuuza. so mu ngeri ifaanagana bwe tuteeka okuba nga tusosowaza katonda. nsembyeyo kino nga tukomekeza dakika zigenze ng'abavubuka tuteeka okuba nga tubeera n'obwetowaaze nambemu mu mulimu gwa katonda ogusobola okutuukiriza. tulina categories endala mu bavubuka ze tubeera nazo nga mazima gali nti nga tosobola kutuukiribwa gwema nti ne tubeera b'ebbeeyi nnyo we dusula ku kyaki. mulimu abantu betwogera nabo, mulimu abalala betuteegera nabo. kugamba nti okola kyosobola okukuuma ekitiibwa kyo n'otayagala okwemanyiriza abantu. kwe kugamba nti okukuuma ekitiibwa kyo okusigala ng'abantu bakulaba mu class ng'oli wa class eyawaggulu nnyo. Let me tell you, ensonga eno nayo nnoonya omulimu. abantu bwe banga tebasobola kugutuukirirwa ekitiibwa ky'olimu ekyo kifu ate obwo si buweereza. lwaki? njagala kugamba nti buli bw'obeera waggulu katonda abeera wansi mu bulamu bw'ekikristaayo, ate buli bw'obeera wansi katonda agulumizibwa. so twejjeko ebitiibwa byonna, twejjeko endowooza yonna esobola kutulaga nti tetwenkanankana n'abantu abalala, tuli ba class, tusobola kwogera ne bano, wabula twetowaaze abantu bonna basobole kututuukirira ate naffe dusobole okubatuukirira. yesu kyava agambye nti alaba obulamu bwe alibubuuza, abuuza obulamu bwe kubwanga akola okuba abulaba. nsaba katonda abampeera nnyo omukisa. olunyiri luno lw'emphasizinga ku that is a long term investment, kwegamba nti osobola okuyita mu bulumi bw'obuweereza bw'oyitamu kaakati, olw'obuweereza bw'oyitamu kaakati, naye mu maaso katonda oli byakya tesitesi mu bulamu bwo. So topapa okwagala okwegulumiza n'okwagala kufuna ebintu naye nga bikujja ku mulimu gwa Katonda, wabula weeganyise, weefiirize, osooke ososowaze Katonda, then olunyiriri oluli mu Matayo 6:33 lujooke lutukire mu bulamu bwo, osooke onoonya obwakabaka, ebirala byonna ajja kubanga abitwongera. Nsaba Katonda abampa erinnya omukisa. Kati wambeeke tuweeyo okusaba. Katonda kitaffe omulungi omwagala, watukwebaza olw'omukisa gwetuwadde okubanga tuwuliza ekigambo kyo, ogulumizibwe tendezebwe obw'ekitiibwa. Ng'abavubuka bingi byotusuubiramu taata, naye ebiseera ebisinga tumaliriza nga tulemerebwa okutuukiriza ekyo taata kyoyagala. Ebiseera ebisinga bibeerawo nga si mu kwagala, wabula olw'embeera z'obulamu buno. Tugusaba mu maanyi g'Omwoyo Omutukuvu weyongere kutukulembera byonna byoyagala eri abaddu bo n'abazaana bo abampuliriza era abeewaayo okuweereza bisobole kuba nga bituukirira. Tubeere ku mwendo gw'abo abakola mu ndimiro yo, era tubeere ku mwendo gw'abo abagenda kusikira obulamu butagwawo. Tukulembere mu by'okuyiga byonna ebyakawungezi kano, okuyita mu Kristo Yesu Mukama waffe. Amiina.
Amen. Thank you so much, Elder Ernest, for that devotion. I hope everyone has benefited. Lwakuba mu ofisi yange omenye etteeka ery'obudde. Yes, you have gone against the law of time. Next time I'll come for you. Anyways, at this point in time, I want to welcome each and everyone once again for today's class. Please feel welcome. And this is a special welcome to our dear pastors. I may not mention all the names, but to all our pastors that are on call, thank you so much for joining. And I pray that, you feel at class, and let everyone also feel at class. So I'm seeing a hand up, but kindly you'll have to come in later on after the facilitator has delivered, because we are already 8 minutes into his time, and yet at exactly 9:30 we should be closing the call. So let me take this opportunity to
Just wanted to make a small request.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to inform the coordinator that the last 2 lessons I've been using somebody's phone and it wasn't registered, so I wanted you to take note of that. The class coordinator, please.
I'm the class coordinator. We shall get in touch.
Okay.
All right. Let me take this opportunity to welcome our dear facilitator, that is SYL MUHUMUZA Moses. I'm very sure he's on call, and when I wasn't seeing him on call, my heart was just pumping. But since he's here with us, please, sir, I welcome you to take the microphone and deliver to us the message that you do have. Thank you.
He is not around. Good evening, SYL.
Good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I was also worried because it reached 8 before I got the link and I said, am I safe? Or I was forgotten and left in the bush. Yes. So as we are aware that today we are introducing ourselves to ambassador modules, and specifically to module 1, I wish to let you know that module 1 is one of the best modules that you can ever have and go through as an SYLT or as with your ambassadors. I believe we are aware that our ambassadors curriculum is having 6 modules, and it is mandatory that when you are handling ambassador modules, you must start with module 1. Then after module 1, you are free, together with your class, agree whether you are going to module 6 or module 5 or module 4 or module any other, as long as module 1 has been handled first. And our module 1 has a simple title or topic called discipleship. When we are looking at the ambassadors' curriculum and modules, they have one theme that cuts across. And the theme of the ambassadors' curriculum, ambassadors' modules is, as I'm going to search for you, that as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. And for that matter, therefore, ambassadors, I guess they are to foster a new generation of spiritual leaders. We are in a generation where young people of 16 to 21 are either drifting away from the church or they even don't mind much about what the church is all about. And the generation we are initially needs to be handled with much care. Therefore, the ambassadors' culture is coming on board to help prepare our young ladies and gentlemen of 16, 21 years, reminding them that though they are in the world, they are not there just for the sake of being there, but they are there as ambassadors of God. That's why he says that as the Father has sent me, Christ speaking, so I'm also sending you. Therefore, it is to remind our ambassadors that Christ has sent us this world, or has sent them in this world, to become his representative. Module 1 of ambassadors, I want us open to the scriptures is found in John chapter 20, verse 21, which I've already told you that as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. What are the main objectives of this first module of the ambassadors' curriculum, that is discipleship? We expect that by the end you finish this module, the ambassador will have understood God's call to discipleship. He or she will be able to recognize their identity as Christ's ambassadors. He or she will be able to develop a personal spiritual growth plan, also build Christ-centered relationships, grow in character and reflect Jesus, and above all, commit to serving God and their community. When we look at this module 1 of discipleship, it first takes us to ask a question: who is an ambassador? If I may ask my dear FILTs, when they talk of an ambassador, what comes in your mind? You are free to give me an answer. And ask anybody to tell us who is an ambassador?
Representative.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Is Joseph giving us an answer or is giving us a flower?
I wanted to give you an answer.
Okay, go on.
I wanted to say he's a representative of Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you are taking us ambassadors of Christ. Before we go to the ambassadors of Christ, who is an ambassador generally? I saw Evangelist T having a hand. Yes. EVT Evangelist T. Who is an ambassador? Daniel?
Okay. This is the kind of research.
Yes.
In the World Survey, an ambassador is a representative of an Commonwealth country in another country.
Hey, okay. We're going to not Commonwealth. Thank you. But in general, an ambassador is an official representative of the government or a kingdom. That's why you have U.S. ambassador to Uganda, Uganda's ambassador to Rome, everywhere ambassadors. When an ambassador is in a country, do you know how we call him the title? What's the title of an ambassador in a country? in a given country?
His Excellency.
Very nice. His Excellency. Therefore, an ambassador is representing the head of state or is representing a nation itself, wherever he is. Therefore, when Christ says that and that we are his ambassadors, it simply means that where he is not, it is us. If the ambassador of Uganda went and did havoc in the US, then it is the president who has done havoc in US, the president of Uganda, because he is there on his behalf. That is how heavy this responsibility is, or this role is. When Christ is saying that you are now my ambassadors, as it is in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20, then he is saying that we are representing God's kingdom. Christ is saying that our lives, or the lives of the ambassadors, should be according to God's values. Ambassadors need to be reminded that as ambassadors, they must reveal Christ's character in whatever they are doing, as well as invite others into the kingdom. When an ambassador of Uganda has been sent to America, has been sent to Vatican, has been sent to Europe or to Kenya, one of the roles he has to play is to convince investors to come and invest in his country, Uganda, is to convince donors to donate things to his country. And also, we as ambassadors, it is or as the ambassadors that we shall be handling, they are reminded that they should invite others to be part of the kingdom which they are representing. We need also to appreciate that the ambassadors' ministry exists to develop young people of ages 16 to 21 into spiritual leaders who will know Christ, who will reflect Christ, who will serve Christ, and who will also lead others to Christ. Therefore, the goal of ambassador ministry is a lifelong discipleship. No wonder our vital module number 1, is called discipleship. The ambassador ministry in general is having or is built upon 7 foundations. 7 foundations. And these foundations are Christ-centered discipleship, leadership development, mission and evangelism, character development, life and vocational development, godly relationships, and community service. And if you can see, these are the 7 modules. I said 6, but there are 7 modules of the ambassador's ministry. Each of the above 7 modules will cover majorly 4 aspects. And I'm soon coming out to module 1. So the 4 aspects that each module should cover or will cover include number 1, a spiritual companion. Then number 2, individual discipleship plan. Number 3, service project. And number 4, social activities. So in every module that you cover, spiritual companion is important. We shall see how is it handled. Individual discipleship plan, service project, and social activities. When we talk about IDP or individual discipleship plan, what are we talking about? Yes. So as an ambassador, we expect him or her to have a spiritual mentor, a spiritual companion. And when we talk about a spiritual companion, is a person who will encourage and support this ambassador in the next stage of his or her spiritual journey as he or she is growing as an ambassador of Jesus Christ. They will remain their spiritual companions throughout a module. If I have chosen Amina as a companion for my module of discipleship. We expect Amina to be my companion until I finish the module of discipleship. When I go to another module, I'm free to choose another mentor. And these mentors, my dear, mentoring is also another complicated thing that you need to know that you have a burden of helping this ambassador to grow and go up to the next level, to grow and become a responsible person in that module, in that area that you are mentoring this person in. So these 4 aspects will ensure that growth happens in a community. Because if our 1621 have spiritual grounded companions, and they also sit and make their individual discipleship plan, how am I going to disciple others? And also they get involved in service projects and social activities. Trust me, the community will be growing from one level to another. Briefly, let me go to discipleship. That's the module, our module 1. I won't ask what discipleship is, but allow me inform you that discipleship is majorly 4 things. 1, it involves following Jesus daily. It involves becoming like Jesus. It involves serving others, as well as making a new disciple. So if you say that you are doing discipleship, but then you are not following Jesus daily, you are not becoming like him daily, you are not serving others or making a new disciples, then your discipleship can or is questionable. In module 1, which is entitled discipleship, our text that guides us through this module is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20. Somebody can help us and read 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20. Who is reading for us? Kumulongo? Amina? Or chairman? I'm waiting for somebody to read.
I can read it.
Yes, please go on.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 20. It says that we are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God.
Thank you. That is our guiding verse. We are called upon to become ambassadors. Therefore, in this module, ambassadors are reminded that God has called every believer. Christians are here to represent heaven, nothing else. That character speaks louder than words as we are in issues of being ambassadors, and that Jesus changes lives through us. And in this module, an ambassador is reminded that our characters speak louder than what we say, and Jesus will change or changes lives through us. Now the question is, how am I? How are you representing Christ? Make a flashback wherever you are as an SYLT. How are you representing Christ? Or how did you present Christ today, if I may ask? Yes. Allow me not to go into a lot of things into this module because you will do it in detail. But let me go to the gist of why we are here today. How do we handle these modules? I encourage every SYL to have the module book, not only the participants, but the leaders module or the leaders version, which helps you to know how do I handle what. When we look at our first module, our first module of discipleship, it is having different sessions. And our module is having 9 sessions. As per plan, we expect that every session or every time you meet, you complete a session. Session should be brief. It is just 45 to 1 hour, 1.5 hours. And when we look at our teaching plan, it even gives you what do you do and for how long. That is how good our youth ministry is, that it even gives you a scheme of work and even goes ahead and gives you a lesson plan. Those of us who are teachers, we can now understand that every time you are meeting for a session, your session should have the following aspects. Should have the part of welcome, should have the aspect or an activity that introduces the theme of the day, should have a mission briefing. What are we up to in that very session? Then it should have a part of personal reflection, and also it should have a part of reflecting Jesus and his kingdom, as well as next steps, and then a summary. Each of these is given a time frame. Like, make sure your welcoming takes about 2 minutes. And what are you going to do in these 2 minutes of welcoming? In these 2 minutes, you will give a general welcome and opening prayer of that day. You give a short getting to know you activity. Maybe as friends, you can code how you can deepen your friendship, and this will give you an ability to encourage and support each other spiritually. Maybe giving testimony, just brief, 1 or 2 words. I thank God today to avoid safely. Sometimes I thank God I was on a motorbike with a friend, but thanks be to God, I did not get terribly injured. That helps the ambassadors to encourage each other and support each other spiritually. Then, for about 13 minutes after that, you give an activity that introduces the theme of the day. If my first session is I'm called to become an ambassador, you plan what activity can I bring up as I plan to, or to help me introduce the lesson of the day. We shall not only come out of our beds and we bump on our ambassadors and say we're going to handle them. It needs our good prior preparation, thinking through all these activities. Also, the activities should not exceed 13 minutes or 15 minutes. However beautiful it will be, please cut it short because you have a lot of things to do. After giving that activity, did you know, which the manual has called did you know, that then you go to another part they call mission briefing. In mission briefing, you give a simple Bible study that gives the biblical foundation of the theme, or for the theme, and this can be done in groups maybe of 2 or of 3. And this will be helpful for you as a leader to circulate around the room, to listen to the conversations they are having about that passage, to see that participants are going in that direction to answer the question that you have. As you given a Bible passage or biblical foundation, now they are in the groups of 2 or 3, they are discussing. For instance, you've given them our text of the day, 2 Corinthians 5:20. Now you have asked them, who is an ambassador? How can you be an ambassador of Christ? What's expected of an ambassador? Now, as they are discussing in those few 10 minutes, you're moving around to see, are they on the right track? That can help you to see what to do next. Then after that, a personal reflection time. Each participant writes down what they have personally learned from the Bible study and how this will apply to their own lives as ambassadors. And this can be shared briefly. They will be a spiritual companion who will be a spiritual encourager during this curriculum. If they have discussed in pairs or in groups of 3, and they have known what an ambassador is, they have known where an ambassador is going and where it comes from, and what is the function of an ambassador. Now, in this next part, for like 5 minutes, they're asking her, now, if I'm an ambassador of Christ, how can I best represent Christ on this earth? Therefore, it tells me that you, as a spiritual companion, you need to be with your ambassadors every time they are studying, because it is you to encourage them, to guide them, and also help them to put into action what they have studied or what they have reflected upon. Then for the next 40 minutes, you give an activity that expands on the main theme of the lesson. This section is called Reflecting Jesus and His Kingdom, because an ambassador's main task is to present the one who sent him, and that is Jesus Christ. So give them an activity. The good thing is that in our modules, all these are given to us. So after them discussing and working on this activity for the next 15 minutes, an ambassador for Jesus will be expected to grow spiritually and also plan how he will witness in his everyday life beyond just the lesson. So each participant will develop an individual discipleship plan that will help them grow as an ambassador for Jesus in the environment where they are. Yes, you've learned this part. You've learned A, B, C, D. Now, what are you planning? How are you going to also implement it? How are you going to present Christ wherever you are? How are you going to win souls for Christ? Because you are an ambassador and you must convince people to come to your kingdom. That's what you call individual discipleship plan. For every session, an ambassador is expected to make that individual discipleship plan. What am I going to do after studying this? And for the last 5 minutes, then as a whole group, you give an opportunity to them to summarize what participants have learned during the session. It is a time for you as a leader to generally review what has been done and ask volunteers to briefly share what they have learned. That is an overview of the ambassadors modules. Each session should have those aspects: welcome and activity, and do you know session, mission briefing, think it through, reflecting Jesus and his kingdom. The next step, which I've called the individual discipleship plan, and also lastly, you have a summary of it. When you go into the Ambassadors Module 1 book, it gives you details of what should be done. You as a leader, what do you do on every aspect? And also for your participants, they're also given, they have how do I call them? They call them handouts, I don't know. But in their book, for them, they are parts. They have spaces where they write. There are some questions, there are some activities, and they give responses on each. So make sure that as you're going to handle any session, your participants are having their part of the book or of the material, because each part, as they discuss, they are writing, they are feeling, they are giving their suggestions in that book or in that manual, and this becomes the reference when you, as a mentor, will be following up. Therefore, it is at this point that I encourage each one of us to take his or her time, have this module, go through the different aspects that I have briefly shared about how you should handle each session, and see if for example, I'm handling my first session, which is entitled, I've been called to become a disciple. Okay? How do I prepare the opening activity? I'm called to be an ambassador for another world. How do I introduce it? Which text am I given to handle? Which activities are there? Anyway, what would be the expected answers? Because as you're moving around, you'll be seeing, are they giving me the right content? Are they giving me the right answers? Okay. Then at the end of the day, what is the way forward? When we talk about individual discipleship plan, we expect each participant to develop a personal plan, including the personal vision. I know that by now all my SYLTs have vision, including spiritual goals, not forgetting expected growth, practical action steps, and reflection. With these 5 aspects, the individual discipleship plan keeps discipleship intentional. Make sure you help your ambassadors. Each of them have these 5 aspects. What is your vision? I may be talking about ambassadors when me and you do not have. Okay. Make sure you have your personal vision. Make sure you have spiritual goals. What are your goals spiritually? Make sure you have your expected growth. Yes, I'm this. What is expected of me? Where do I want to be spiritually? Then what practical steps can I take or can this ambassador take to reach that expected growth? And then also think through what he or she is doing or planning. I wish to remind you, dear SYLs, that God never invited Christians to grow alone. When we look at Ephesians 4:11-13, we find that growth happens through fellowship, through accountability, through prayer, and through encouragement. Therefore, it is your role as you are taking your ambassadors through their modules to always remind them and ensure that fellowship is promoted, accountability both to themselves, to their parents and their leaders is encouraged. Prayer should be part of their lives, not forgetting, encouraging them in one way or the other. A few weeks back, I was in your territory in Ginger, and we had a session with the ambassadors where they were at one of the families, and they were giving testimonies. Unfortunately, me as an emotional creature, I found myself wiping tears from my eyes because I realized that our ambassadors are having issues and problems that sometimes we as their leaders or as the church have not given them time to speak out. Therefore, you as a leader, it is your role to make sure that you encourage these young people as they are going through a number of challenges that indeed they go through. In the ambassadors module, as I would say, it is paramount for one to have a spiritual companion. We expect that every participant chooses a spiritual companion. We are not asking you SYLs to give companions to these ambassadors. Don't make that grave mistake. Let an ambassador choose a spiritual companion by him or herself. And this spiritual companion should be a person who prays with him or her or with them, who encourages them, who helps them stay accountable, and who supports their individual discipleship plan. Make sure that you advise them how they can best choose future companions. Or what you can do, I don't know whether it is workable. You can give them a pool where they can pick their spiritual companion. Give them a pool, give them a number of people that they can choose from, and they get spiritual companions. But don't say, Moses, you take this one as a spiritual companion. If anything goes wrong, my dear, you'll be down to follow the cross. They will say, it is you who gave me this person. So, as spiritual companions, or in case you are chosen to be a spiritual companion, these are the questions you should ask each week or every time you are meeting for a session. you should ask your ambassador or your mentee, how is your spiritual life? Ask him or her, how is your individual discipleship plan progressing? You said that you wanted to share a message to so and so. How are you progressing? And also ask your mentee if you can pray or how you can pray for him or her. Yes, ask me, yes, how can I pray for you? Maybe someone will tell you, I'm planning for ABC. Please pray that tomorrow I meet my person I'm discipling. Or pray for me, I'm looking for money to buy something for my person because he's having challenge ABCD. So don't always assume that you know what you should pray for these people. Just ask them and to tell you how they want you to pray for them. As I'm coming to pause and then we have the reflection from my team that side. Ambassador's mission is to reveal Jesus, to restore broken lives, and prepare people for Christ's return. Therefore, we need to encourage our ambassadors that their lives should point others to Christ. Remind our ambassadors that there is somebody out there who the only Jesus they will see is him or her. And now let me ask my SYL, if today there's that person you met, you were the only person who was see Jesus, did he see Jesus really? Answer yourself, not me. Let's remember that as ambassadors, we should all ambassadors should help people understand God's plan for their redemptions. As we begin the journey of the modules, we shall find that the story of God includes a number of things: the fall, the creation, salvation, judgment, second coming, and us. So they need to be well grounded in this story of salvation that they can ably share with others. Therefore, as ambassadors, as SYLs, we are called upon to reflect Christ, to share the gospel, to build God's kingdom, serve our communities, and prepare people for Jesus' return. That is why each ambassador should make that commitment that yes, we are ambassadors of Christ. Therefore, they need to commit to working with Christ daily, reflect his character on a daily basis, serve faithfully, and lead others to Christ. If you can forget everything that I've said in these few minutes, then you can have a meeting between you and yourself and answer the following questions, because they will cover almost everything I have said. Question number 1 that you should ask yourself: what does it mean to be a Christ ambassador? At least if you ask that question, you will have answered most of the things I've shared. Number 2, which area of your spiritual life needs growth? Trust me, all of us have frowned. All of us have areas which have been problems. But which area of your life needs growth? Number 3, how can your spiritual companion help you? And number 4, what kind of leader is God calling you to become? Therefore, I repeat the question: what does it mean to be Christ ambassador? Number 2, which area of your spiritual life needs growth? Number 3, how can your spiritual companion help you? Number 4, what kind of leader is God calling you to become? So I encourage you to remember that identity before activity, remember character before leadership, remember community before isolation, remember service before recognition, and Jesus before everything. Dear friends, with those few words, allow me to welcome you to the ambassador module. Having done that, I believe you can ably tackle any module and you help our ambassadors to grow, to become important people in our life and in the life to come. How I pray that God helps us to become responsible and faithful mentors of our ambassadors. How I pray that God helps us to reflect Him in our daily character and that we might also grow as disciples and lead others into His kingdom. God bless you.
Amen, amen. Everybody kindly send the facilitator some flowers. Yes, I want to believe each one of us has benefited a lot. And thank you so much, our dear facilitator, for that great presentation about the ambassadors. I hope everyone now has some clear picture of what the ambassador class is and how it can be handled. How many modules do they have? At least don't forget the one we've handled today, at least discipleship. You may forget maybe leadership and other things, but I want to believe like everyone now has a picture of where we are going and how we are going to handle them. And personally, yes, it is the sweetest session that I have ever tasted in the youth ministry. Ambassadors are good people only when you understand them well. But once you don't understand them, kavaka with them, because if they choose not to like you, it will be problems. But if you handle them the way they want you to handle them, it becomes the sweetest class. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adia, facilitator. So to the rest of us, if you have any question that you want to ask, we're having some minutes here. Please, you can raise your hand and ask when the facilitator is still here with us. I believe he's going to answer every question. Once again, our dear pastors, you're almost welcome. Our elders online, you're also welcome. And then the us who are not elders and not pastors, yeah, you're also welcome. So please, in case you have any question, raise your hand and ask. Meanwhile, let me ask my question. In the ambassador class, that age, there is a way it has been always hard to deal with somehow, or to be understood by we the leaders, especially maybe the leaders who are above that age. Of course, you've taken us through everything, and in most cases, sometimes when you try to apply the theory part of it, yeah, you succeed 80% or sometimes 50%, and then when you really fail in the practical side of it, things may not go on well. So since you are someone who is very much experienced in that line, handling the ambassadors when you're teaching them, because sometimes I thank God I had an opportunity to lead them, like to lead, not to direct, to lead or to work together with the ambassadors for only 2 years. Though the first year was a little bit, for 3 years, the first year was a little bit challenging, but the way I handled to myself, I feel it is not that official way on how to handle, because I felt it took a lot of my time to get down to their understanding and try to pull their love, whereby yes, it after came, because sometimes you may understand how to give in these activities according to the way you've explained, but then one of their, or some of them can be there and they'll feel like they are not that interested what you're telling them about being discipleship, their minds are thinking about other things. So you find that they after feel like the things that you're telling them about Christ or things that you people are discussing are not to their interest. So, what would be that simplest and easy way on how to first pull that first, like love at sight or first love at first sight with the ambassador class? Because I want to believe that once you draw them to your side, everything can become a success as you are delivering or going through these modules to them. I don't know whether my question has been understood, but that's how I can explain it.
Thank you. And as you said, one of the most tricky clubs is the Ambassadors Club. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, it is hard to make a timetable for these ambassadors. You think that today you are going to meet them at church. They say, first want to meet from down the tree that side. And make sure you are always flexible with those people, because once you are not, you have trouble. Now, one of the changes they have is that they want to do with somebody whom they feel is part of them. So for you, if you feel that you are old enough and you don't want to come to that, and you call it childish level, childish behavior, childish interaction, then you will not be able to work with ambassadors. So how will I be able to win them at first sight before you go to meet the ambassadors? First, you feel in yourself, ask yourself really whether you have that love and that desire of working with them. Because your love for them will automatically be reflected to them once they meet you for the first time. But if you are the person who is looking at them as children, looking at them as generation which is spoiled, people who even come to churches with genes, you are just meeting them there to begin ridiculing them and questioning them why they are like that, you have trouble with them. Let us, I always tell people, let us not pretend as if we came from Mars and we fell on Earth. We also went through that age. How did you want to be treated? Treat the people like that. Yes, sometimes they can be in wrong. But for you, when you were in wrong at that age, did you want people to embarrass you in public? Or you wanted to, or you could feel safe if they called your side and they talk to you one-on-one? Please, just make sure that you be to those people what you wanted people to be to you at that age when that you missed. And so doing, these ambassadors will feel that they have somebody who understands them, somebody who loves them, somebody who cares for them. And trust me, they will love you and they will give you all their attention. Let me give you a testimony. Between 2017 and 2020, I was a chaplain at Bugema Adventist Primary School. That school is having many Sudanese, and Sudanese always go to school when they are very old, so beyond the primary age. So the teachers there, the administration there, already had problems with these mature boys and girls. Now, when I got there, I said the best way of having these guys PM is have the ambassadors club. And I think it's the only primary school that has ever had an ambassadors club in the history, if not of the Ghanaian, then of the whole world. Now, when I was with that ambassadors club, on Sabbath afternoon, I left pathfinders, I left adventurers, I went to ambassadors. You could find us seated together on the ground, talking together, seated somewhere on the ground together. You could find us interacting together. And by the time we finished term one, these people, ambassadors, were so obedient. They loved me, they respected me, and they were so obedient to the school rules and regulations. And people wondered how we are doing it. Just love them, come to their level, trust me, you'll manage them, and everything will be smooth. So I hope I have answered you.
Yes, thank you so much. Members, is there anyone else who has a question? Harriet, I saw your hand was up, but you have to put it down. Are you okay, or you still want to ask your question? Please unmute and ask.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My mic is not clear, I think, but you may also comment if you can hear me. Thanks for everything and everyone. I want to take this pleasure to thank you for attending the class. And thank you so much, our instructor for tonight. I also wanted to add on what you asked. With the ambassadors, this is a very terrible age whereby they don't want commands. When you come in your class with a command, sometimes they don't respond easily. So you need to look like them. You need to lower yourself to their level in order to teach them well. There is a scenario, as you said, you are teaching them as if they are not interested, as if they are paying attention to some different issues. Here, you need to come up with a technique. You need to involve them actively. Give them time to lead others, to lead themselves. It is just, for example, if you are teaching a lesson, you can just introduce the heading of or the title of the lesson or the topic. Then you give them a chance to discuss on their own. You find that they have owned the lesson. They have owned, they are going to discuss, enjoy, and they are going to discuss in their own way that is interesting them. So you find that they get interested. First of all, at the beginning of your lesson, for example, if you are handling the lesson for the first time, there you will see their response as if they are not interested. But once they get into it, and they know that the teacher gives us chance to discuss what we want, we speak out our minds, you will find that even the next lesson, before you come, they're already there, they're already giving you attention, and they're already yearning to hear from you. With ambassadors, we need to give them that kind of authority. At least they can handle their lessons. They discuss and you just guide. That's what I wanted to add on, so that they can be interested in our lessons. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Harriet. That has been noted, and yeah, we appreciate that. I saw another hand up. Yes, please kindly unmute and say something, Mr. Ngobi Joseph.
Thank you, class coordinator. I just want to be helped. The people who are talking about the youth, they are very experienced. They have gone through this. They have got a lot of scenarios. I wanted to know, have they gone further to look at the youth in this category? The youth that are urban and the youth that are rural, and the youth who go to schools which are quite different and diverse, and even there are many factors that make difference in the schools they go to, and how they behave when they come to church. Because from what they are saying, it's like they are generalizing. Because when you're introducing something to the youth in the rural, it may not be the same as, for me, I don't know, as you are introducing something to the youth in the urban. I want to learn from them, from what they are talking, please. Thank you.
Wow, wow, that's so great. Our dear facilitator, please come in.
Thank you for that. Um, yes, youth, most of them are from other backgrounds, but they're studying from special schools. Maybe they also behave differently. And that is why the ambassador's culture is beginning with the module one discipleship. Yes, this ambassador, you are reminding him or her that though you are in that school, said so and so, sijui Ahmadiyya Secondary School. Yes, you are not there just as a student, You are not there just as any other person, but you are there as an ambassador. That is why it is our role that when they come to church, we ground them into becoming ambassadors for Christ, that wherever they are in their secular settings, then they can represent Christ. Remember, an ambassador leaves Uganda and goes to represent Uganda in Japan. So though the food is different, the environment is different, but he's expected to represent what Uganda is wherever he is. Therefore, when they're in these schools, we are inviting them also, or encouraging them to become ambassadors. Yes, some are in rural village places, others are in town places. To me, I think it doesn't make a big difference, because whether in town or in a village, an ambassador is called upon to become an ambassador. However, then you as a teacher, you as an instructor, when you are handling people in the village, you must tailor your activities, you must tailor your program to suit into the environment. That is why planning is very important. To know that now I'm going to deal with ambassadors of Ginger Central, and the other day I'm going to deal with ambassadors of Kamonkoli. These are different backgrounds, these are different people, and you must approach them differently, though you are handling the same topic or the same session. So you must know your people and know how you will best handle them.
Thank you so much. I hope, Elder, you have been answered. Personally, let me also share something small in line with that. In my first year, when I was an ambassador leader in Ginger Central Church, those first years when I had started ministry, as I said, I was facing such challenges. But then, when challenges always came, I used to ask some of my seniors how to handle, because yeah, some of them of course saw me as their age mate because of maybe my size, something of the sort. So it was a little bit easier for the case of the girls because of that girl talk that we used to share. So I discovered that for the case of every activity that I was doing, it is mostly the girls that were getting involved in the singing, in the what attendance. So it was only girls who were there because we used to have that coordination. But then for the case of the guys, they used to be few and they never used to come that much. Then I tried to ask one of the leaders who helped me, and told me that sometimes you need to first study, just as our facilitators told us, and study and understand these people, get to know what they really need. So that person told me probably the module that you've begun with, maybe some of them, it is not good enough to pull them and they're not still getting the interest, even if you're trying this and that. Look through the modules. Out of the 7, which module do you think you can begin with to draw their attention? You people, I went to module number 6. Instead of I had begun with module number 1, but I had to stop a little bit before even we completed. I went to module number 6, which was talking about friendship and relationship. I don't know how, but these people ended up coming. The class later on became active, and since then I want to believe it has been always easy for other masala leaders who have been coming in for that class to continue. So it made it easier for me to involve them in other modules. So after that module number 6, I went back to module number 1 when the class now was back, and it was easier for them to understand. So in my thinking, sometimes uh since now it was a different setting of a group, of course the ambassadors from the town setting, they've gone through, okay, they've seen more things. People these days, they have phones at an early age. They're having interest in different things. There are certain things they want to hear. So I had to change that and draw their attention. Then we got back to the normal setting. Right now, trust me, Tisha Ruth can bear witness that in Ginger Central, okay, it's not because of me, no, I'm not saying that. That is totally out. I'm just giving you the picture. Like right now, the ambassador class or ambassador club is the one that really sound in Ginger Central. They're the ones leading everything, even in prayers, even like, I mean, their spiritual life is even changed. They're the ones who are even preaching. So maybe sometimes just to relate to what we are studying, that once you give them what they want to hear at first, it draws them closer. Maybe because I saw like as if it had also worked. That's why I was like, my idea that I used that time, or the one some leader gave me, it looked like it wasn't that legit, because there is no way they can plan modules from module 1 to 6 to 7 and then you jump to the last one. The people who organize had the reason as why they had put it there. So I felt like we used that, but it was not that good. So that's all that I wanted to add. Otherwise, thank you so much for giving us that explanation, and I want to believe that it is beneficial to us all. Yes, Harriet, you still have something. I want to remind us that we are
One
having
second.
13 minutes left for us to leave this call. So in case you have any questions, the facilitator gave us enough time to ask. Yes, Harriet.
Thank you so much, our moderator. I also want to give in the technique that you can also use. For example, you're teaching in a rural setting, and you may find that some of these youths, the ambassadors, never went to school, and English is a problem to them. You can also change the language. You can change the language instead of using. Remember, the modules are in English, most of them. But if you are teaching a group whereby they can't get you very well in the language that you're using, you can switch on to the other language, the local language, and maybe after teaching them a certain like a certain module, they can also, every session they have to make the IDPs. So when they make the IDP, you can also simplify it and tell them to make the IDPs in their local language. That one is one of the things that can help them to balance. For example, if in the town setting they are using English, the other side you can use and their local language, and you may see that they are catching up very well. And also another thing, you can repeat. For example, you have taught a session and one group has not understood. You can also repeat until they get it, because it is not a matter of rushing and covering the module, but understanding. You help them to understand. By the way, if you repeat it again, you find that these ambassadors will get it right. Most of them fear, because most of us tend to use the language that they don't understand. But if we switch to the local language, we encourage them even to make their IDPs in the local language. Well and good. Thank you for listening.
Wow, it just chitegere. Chitegere. Okay, we have understood. Chitegere keike. All right. Thank you so much, Madam Harriet, for that. And if in case others don't have questions, I want to let us know that our director is on call. And at this point in time, I want to welcome our facilitator to give us his final wrap up. Then after that, we shall have a communication from our director, and then we shall see how to close the class. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the class. If you can forget anything, let's remember that the honor club that we have, that we need to put on more attention and more emphasis, is the Ambassadors Club. This is a prime age that we need to mold these children to become leaders, to become representatives of Christ, and also to love the church and love the ministry. Once we lose the ambassador's age, we have lost everything. And let's remember that it is us as SYLs that God has entrusted with this delicate and more powerful age to mentor and nurture for his kingdom. May God give us the knowledge and understanding and the love of nurturing this important generation. God bless you.
Amen. Amen. Remember, some flowers for our facilitator. Some flowers. Some flowers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, our dear facilitator, for the session. And let me whisper to you, we have no assignment. Anyway, do not forget to make to make a summary, yes, of the class. What you have understood from the class, your reflection, like how you can relate and how you're going to use it. Don't forget. Then after that, you document. And I want to believe that the Spirit is going to speak to the facilitator and he's not going to give us the assignment anyway, at this point in time, before I invite the director, Tisha Ruth is not on call. She sent her apology that she's handling a class during this very time. There is another SYL class. I've forgotten the church, but she's handling that other class that she has been handling. That's why she's not here with us. But as you know, she loves us, and even us, we love her. Our director, you're most welcome. Please say something to us, and also appreciate our facilitator in a special way.
All right. Thank you very much for attending the class.